So this is part two of targets 3 and 4, identifying cell organelles and knowing their functions. This is where we left off at the end of part 1, so we'll pick up right here with centrioles. And centrioles, their job is to form structures called spindle fibers, which are going to be moving chromosomes around inside a cell. In an animal cell, you'll see these down here. Here's the centrioles. And they are not found in plant cells, so they're a structure that's only found in animal cells. Vacuoles. Vacuoles, might want to think of them as just a kind of a water balloon. In plant cells, there's only one, and it takes up the majority of the space inside the cell. So here's a large central vacuole. In animal cells, there's multiple vacuoles, and they're much smaller. So it's mainly a storage location. Its function is mainly to store things, and the main substance that it stores is water. Now, in protozoan cells, there's contractile vacuoles, and they act kind of like a water pump, almost like a sump pump in your house. If you have a basement, probably in a corner of your basement, there's a hole with a pipe coming out of it that goes out through the wall, and that's attached to your sump pump. So its job is to pump water out. When it rains a lot and underneath your house the water level starts to rise, if it covers your sump pump, it turns on and starts to pump that water out. So there's these little organisms that are in freshwater and saltwater called protists, protozoans, and they have contractile vacuoles to pump water out. So in our plant cell, of course, this large structure here, now sometimes students will confuse this as the nucleus, but notice it doesn't have any nucleolus in it like this does. So that's your vacuole, and there's only one in a plant cell. And in animal cell, there's multiple. If you labeled any of those that in your animal cell that you had already labeled lysosomes, basically a vacuole looks the same as a lysosome. So I would not mark it incorrect if you labeled what looks like a lysosome to be a vacuole or vice versa in an animal cell. Flagella are these long structures here that almost look hair-like. If there's only one, like a sperm cell, of course, only has one, it's called a flagellum. And its function is primarily movement. Sometimes the flagella are used to help. This is a bacterial cell, and sometimes they can stick to surfaces using those flagella, but primarily they're used for movement. Cilia look like flagella, except they're much, much shorter. So if you had one, it would be a cilium. So here you can see a comparison of a bacterial cell with flagella and cilia on. This is an example of a protist, and you can see it's just covered with these little hair-like cilia. And so they move. They will move in unison, and they're also used to help either move the organism, or like in our throats, our cells have cilia, and they're all beating the same direction, that being down. So that if, let's say, you accidentally get a bacterium in your mouth from your fingers, the cilia will help to sweep it down into your stomach, where hopefully your stomach acids will kill it. Cytoplasm, again, is that clear jelly-like substance that is filling all the cell, and everything inside the cell floats in the cytoplasm. So anywhere in a picture or a diagram of a cell that you point to an empty space like this right here, or this right here, or right here, that would all be considered cytoplasm. So this right here is an arrow that's pointing to cytoplasm, but again, all of this in here, all this free space would be filled with cytoplasm. In your plant cell, we'll just call this blue area here. Again, all of this down here, this is all cytoplasm. Cytoskeleton. This is made up of two structures called microtubules, which are a little bit thicker, as you can see here, and microfilaments, which you can see here. And so it makes up, it's throughout the cell, provides structure and support for the cell, just like our skeletons do the same for us. So on your animal cell, you've got some microtubules here, shown here. Plant cell, you've got some shown here. There's more on this side over here. Microfilaments are the thinner ones. And that's it for that targets 3 and 4. We'll stop there.